Today, I'm going to share with you guys 5 books that have impacted my Python journey, and they're bound to impact your programming journey as well. Stay tuned, because I guarantee you the last book in here you haven't heard of. If you're ready, I'm more than ready. Let's dive into the episode. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Code with Josh. For really obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here. As I said, in today's episode, we're exploring 5 game-changing programming books that I guarantee are going to help grow you as a developer in your logical thinking. And as I mentioned, stay tuned, because all these books I have are in the links in the description. Yes, I do get a little kickback just because it's an Amazon affiliate. So do me a favor, if you like any of these books, check out the links below, as they do help me a growing channel. All right, without further ado, let's dive into our first book. All right, guys, before we get into the first book, I do want to say, hi, champ. Hi, buddy. Besides saying hi to him, good boy, I do want to say that these books are in chronological order, so they do build on each other, right? The first book that I'm going to show you is actually going to parallel in the beginning, and the final book that I'm going to show you is going to be for the more advanced levels. Isn't that right? Are you confident with that? Guys, we're going to do a little bit different here. I got 5 books. I'm going to share you with these 5 books in each different part of my house. Why not mix it up a little bit? Now, these books are in chronological order, so they build on each other. And the first book that I'm going to show you guys is Best for Beginners, and then it gets more advanced building on each book. That's why they're in this order. Now, the first book, we've probably heard of it, maybe you haven't. It's Python Crash Course. This is the best book for beginners, especially if you're starting off on your own. Eric Mathis does a great job at creating projects that take you from knowing nothing and building out on those, right? If I open this up, okay, I've gone through this book, and you can see there are multiple projects, but before he even gets to any of the projects, he goes through the fundamentals. This is the first key book that I recommend to any beginners, all right? So check that out, all right? And the projects in here are going to build on not only your basics of Python, you have control structures, functions, more importantly, object-oriented programming. And while you're learning each of these core topics, there is a project in this book to go with it. That's why it's the first book in our series of the best 5 books in Python. Now on to number 2. This carries us into our second book. Now, in the first book, it was all about you building the foundations of Python, right? That's the Python Crash Course. Now that you have a basic understanding of Python, it's time to pause, because we need to learn how to think like a computer, how to think like a computer scientist. And this is where Alan B. Downey's book comes in, of Think Python, How to Think Like a Computer Scientist. This is a great book. It does include Python code examples in there, but this book really focuses on now honing in your skills, because as a developer, we do need to learn a different way of thinking. It's not just what we know in the real world. The way that we interact with computers is completely different. In this book, it's not only jam-packed with challenges along the way, but this book is a great tool at utilizing and really learning how computers work, how they think, and how we can apply our logic to interact in given instructions. This is why it's the best book for number 2, because we've gone with the foundations of Python Crash Course. It's now time to think like a computer scientist. This is the second book. Are you ready for more projects? We're diving into our third book. Let's get it. Jumping into our third book, it's really now time to expand your horizons. You've learned the fundamentals. That's key, right? That's in book 1. In book 2, we really learn how to start thinking like a computer scientist and applying that logic. Now let's take everything that you've learned and start to build projects, all while learning other modules and concepts in Python. This carries on with the boring stuff, or should I say, automate the boring stuff with Python. Let me zoom in. Okay, can you see that? All right, this is a great book, massive book. It looks very similar to Python Crash Course because it's made by the same publisher, right? But in this book, there are endless chapters, each chapter covering a different topic. For example, just wait, bear with me. Okay, let me go to the beginning. To be honest, I haven't done all these. I've done about half of these. I've skipped around, right? But if I go to the very beginning of this book, right, there are different projects. So if I jump around past the data structures, okay, we are going to see stuff like working with Excel spreadsheets, web scraping, working with CSV files. We have images. So how can you manipulate images with Python? We have sending emails and text messages, right? So each of these core concepts, controlling a keyboard and mouse with GUI automation, right? I've covered GUI, PyQt on this channel, right? But each of these core concepts, that builds on your current knowledge of Python. And it's really giving you the chance to experiment. What area of Python do you find most interesting, right? Could it be, creating GUI applications? Could it be editing images with code, right? This book really gives you a chance to explore all the other fields out there in Python. All right, that's our third book. Time to jump in. What book is going to help you next in your journey? Now we're here in my bed. That's right, my sheetless bed. Why are we in my sheetless bed? I have no idea. I just thought it'd be kind of funny for the fourth book. All right, the first two books, right? We had the Python Crash Course. I gave you guys that how to think like a computer scientist and then automate the boring stuff. All right, before we dive into the most advanced book yet, let's just kind of plateau. Okay, let's peek right here. Let's give you guys a quick reference guide to everything we've learned and introduce more advanced topics. That is where the Python Pocket reference comes into play. This is a great book that really pairs with everything that I've shown you guys so far. All right. Now, I want to point out, guys, I don't know everything in programming, and you're not going to know everything either. That's okay. That's the commitment we make becoming a developer, acknowledging that it's going to be an endless learning journey. And this book pairs so well with that because this covers, it's like a quick reference to everything you've learned so far. So very quickly, dictionary, how does that work? You could pull this out real quick, right? Try and accept statement. Pull this out real quick, right? But this also includes more advanced topics. It introduces you to concepts like overloading methods. It introduces you to concepts like dunder methods, right? A dunder method in Python is like a double underscore method. There are so many. And I was just reading through this book, right? I flipped open here before I saw you guys, right? And there's so many in here that, to be completely fair, there's some of them I didn't even know about, like bytes, right? I've never used bytes before, or hash. That's another one that I haven't used, but that's okay because this book, it covers all the methods, every dunder method that Python has. It's your quick reference guide to Python that pairs well. So if you're in a bind, you're in a project, you can whip this out real quick to give you ideas. Well, guys, that brings us to our final and most advanced book yet, the fifth book in this mini-series. To be completely honest, this last book here, I should have filmed this in my bed because by far this is the most boring book I have ever read. But it's also the best book I own. This is the most advanced book and I guarantee no one else is talking about this. Data structures and algorithms in Python. Just the name of that has probably put you to sleep. But I assure you, this book is the best book as you're working to get into advanced thinking and programming, all right? Especially with data structures and algorithms. Because at this point in time, you've been introduced to the Python 4 built-in ones, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. But now in your developer journey, it's time to start expanding to the advanced topics of algorithms, but then data structures. Let me just read you the few that they have in here in the table of contents. Okay, so literally the contents of this book, okay, after addressing OOP and basic algorithms, we go through arrays, stacks, queues, linked lists, trees, maps, hash tables, binary search. Everything to get you prepared for those advanced concepts is found in this book. data structures and algorithms, guys. All right. I haven't read a lot of this. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I've read about half of it off and on over the past 3 years. Okay. This is not a book that I can just pick up and read start to finish. That's not how my mind works. All right. I would get distracted so easily. But as I am easing into more advanced concepts, or as I go through my journey, right, there's something I need to know. This is a great read, right? Because it's nice to have it all in one place. Therefore, this is the 5th and most advanced book in today's collection of the best programming books in Python. Well, there you have it, guys. Today was just a short episode to introduce you guys to 5 life-changing books that I've used in my programming journey. All right, from start to finish. And remember that these books do build on each other in a compound manner, right? So if you've never programmed before, go to the first book. That's where you're going to begin. If you have a basic understanding of Python, maybe you want to jump ahead to the 3rd book, right? That's where you start to get to experiment with different fields and modules in Python. Or if you're here for the advanced stuff, right? The last book I covered was data structures and algorithms. This might be the one for you. And I can guarantee you this might be one that you've never heard of. All right, this is a great tool. And there is going to be a book in here for you. So check those out. And guys, remember, I have all these books in the links in the description below. I do get a little kickback at no extra cost to you. It's just an Amazon affiliate link. Okay, there's other links there too. All right, so head on down there, check those out, and comment below, guys. Which book or which books do you use that I didn't even talk about here, right? Are there books that I missed that should be brought in and talked about as the best programming books? Drop me a comment and let me know. That's all for this week's episode of Code with Josh. And I cannot wait to see you guys in next week's episode. Until then, guys, I'll see you then.